All right, welcome to this, what I call Lessons from a Lamborghini. I'm here with Jeremy.
What's up, guys?
Jeremy hasn't been in this before.
Holy!
That's another thing.
Okay, maybe I shouldn't have brought my coffee.
Jeremy brought his coffee in his. I'm like, dude, I'm gonna die. Just the smell alone is bad.
Hey, this is quality coffee.
It's quality coffee. The average American spends $80 a month on coffee.
Guilty.
$1,000 a year. I'm gonna talk about what I wish I knew a long time ago. If I had known that most of everything that people tell you is wrong. That, and the reason that most of everything you've ever heard wrong, I was reading this book, Social, by Matt Lieberman, and he says, we all have these things that we feel are our own impulses, but for the most part, all of them exist for only one reason. They all exist to have us benefit the group, the social group. The problem with that is, see, I lived at the Amish for 2.5 years. The Amish group is small and they care about you. The world now, 7 billion people, they don't care about you, and it's too large for anybody to even remotely know who you are. So we end up conforming to this huge cog in the machine. Whereas what you want to do is pick a small group, and then you can tone down your behavior, or you can conform to that tribe, so to speak. So you see that with money. 12% people spend 12% of their life doing what they like to do when it comes to career. So you're basically living 88% of your life at the behest of other people. That doesn't sound like a life anybody would want. We are meant to be a blend of autonomy and independence. So going back to this thing, wish what I know. One of the things that people are so wrong about, in my experience now, is they're wrong about learning from your own mistakes. I wish somebody had grabbed me by the collar and said, look, I want you to learn nothing from your own mistakes. 99% of adults feel like they failed. So they want to justify all the mistakes they made by saying, you know what? I had to make all these mistakes. But in actuality, they didn't have to make all the mistakes. They just have to justify the mistakes because the pain is too much. So one of the reasons I wish I had realized most people don't know what they're talking about, for example, on this subject of that you should learn from your own mistakes, to just admit the truth. No, you didn't have to learn from your own mistakes. Sure, you have to learn from some mistakes, but why do they have to be yours? There's no rule on that, you know? Most people are patiently impatient, which I'm pretty sure is a recipe for a horrible life. What you have to be is the opposite. It sounds identical to be impatiently patient versus patiently impatient, but it makes all the difference in the world. So what I wish someone had told me is said, look, Ty, like John Wooden said, be quick but not in a hurry. 99% of people do is they act as if they have all the time in the world. So people are like patient. You see people, you're like, well, when are you going to make your move on life? They're like, well, you know, I've got to wait for a few things together. So they're patient. But then, when real opportunities arise that they can identify, instead of patiently waiting and building them step by step like sculpting a sculpture, they hastily jump into them. They don't put the hard work in. They don't build the foundation and the structure. So that's when they are impatient. What I suggest you try instead is the exact opposite. Freak out if you're not getting the dreams that you wish you had. Right? So freak out. Like, so today, don't even say, oh, tomorrow I'm going to get good at this. Freak out now, but then patiently build. So I can just go through a million things in my life where I fell prey to that. One of them is setting far off goals. When you set a 10-year goal, you're just basically giving yourself an excuse to 8 years into it be like, well, I'm still on track because I got, 2 years more. No. Look, people who do big things make almost always immediate, an immediate action towards the goal. Once you immediately freak out, you immediately take action. Then step number 2, you impatiently move through each cycle. And I recommend you can go through a full cycle. Peter Drucker says a good time frame is 18 months. It's enough time that things can kick in, but it's not so long that you lose the predictive power of goals. Goals are trying to get predictive power. So therein, I think, lies the happy medium. You're setting your 67-day goals, which are really fast. If you're watching this at midnight, start at midnight. What are you waiting for? Make haste slowly. Be quick, but not in a hurry. I wish someone had told me, you want to make money? Plant your roots deeply where you, Joel used to say, plant your roots where you were, where you were born, but then use that as a base to radiate out, and then you can travel with a purpose. What I do, I have my main office in Hollywood, California. I was born, in Los Angeles. But then you set up satellite office in London and New York, and the next thing you know, you have the best of both worlds. You can travel without being transient. All right, so this is to be continued, part 2 of what I wish I knew in the lessons in a Lamborghini. Stay tuned, and I gotta make a quick errand. Signing off.